My name is Jedidiah Action Smith, and that's not my real name. It's Jedidiah Joseph Smith. That was a little joke for everyone. I was born on an island called Martha's Vineyard, which is famously where Jaws was filmed, and I was born basically the year they wrapped that shoot up, and both my great uncle and uncle have various body parts in that film. Bull shark. There's a lot to talk about with the bull shark. I'll make it fairly brief, but the bull shark is a fairly common shark, sort of a medium-sized shark. They're usually 7 to 12 feet or so. 9 feet, I'd say, would be the average, if I'm remembering correctly. They're a very aggressive shark. If we're talking about the 3 most dangerous sharks in the world, you've got the great white, the tiger shark, and the bull shark. Bull shark, I personally would rate as the most dangerous because they're very common, they're very aggressive, they'll eat anything, unlike a great white, which we aren't actually on the menu for great whites. The reason people die because of great whites is they get bitten because it's a test bite, and then of course you get bitten by a dragon, even a test bite is not gonna go too well. But bull sharks will eat just about anything, like tiger sharks, and they're everywhere, and they are so everywhere that they're even in fresh water. There's a sort of subspecies, or really kind of the same species, called the Lake Nicaragua shark, which lives, guess where? But bull sharks have been found as far up in the Mississippi as what's the state northern where the Mississippi goes? Somewhere far up the Mississippi, like 50, 60 miles up the Mississippi. So they can live in fresh water full time. So the bull shark is interesting for that and for being really dangerous. So a large amount of fatal and non-fatal shark attacks are related to bull sharks, and they are everywhere. If it's an option, get out of the water as soon as possible. I'm not going to give advice on shark attack prevention because that's really something actual experts should do. But you do not want to be in the water with a bull shark. I would rather be in the water with a great white than a bull shark, to be perfectly honest. That's a 5-star shark. There's a lot that's unusual about them. So they're outstanding. Blunt-nosed sixgill. Well, it's a deep sea shark primarily, and I love deep sea sharks. That's probably my favorite general shark interest is deep sea sharks. Because I love deep sea stuff in general. It's another obsession. And you combine sharks and deep sea, and you got me there. So blunt-nosed sixgill. Most sharks have 5 gills. A few species have 6, including this, and some have 7. They're pretty spooky. The high spookiness factor with these, they've got these kind of big eyes and a weird, flattened circular face. They almost have a slightly human quality to them. It's hard to explain, but they're very odd looking. They're pretty big. We're talking 20 foot on the outside, 20-foot shark. And one weird thing about them is that in the 90s, there was a period in the Puget Sound, there was a big population of these sharks, which are normally deep sea sharks. The Puget Sound, I think, gets pretty deep, but it was unusual to see these sharks in large populations in any sort of sound. It was thought to be grunge related primarily, and I think they're known for being really Mudhoney fans more than, say, Nirvana or Screaming Trees or anything like that. So Marchon was really leading the scientific discoveries around this joke, which is now done. 4.5. 4.5. Yeah, it's an excellent shark. Really good shark. Yeah. Thresher shark. Well, the thresher shark's a lesson in disappointment to me a little bit, because thresher shark, you see pictures of it, or especially my first exposure to thresher shark was from this book, Sharks by Richard Ellis, and it's a majestic painting of the shark, which thresher sharks are mackerel sharks like mako sharks and great whites and so forth. So they have that morphology to them. They have a classic shark shape in that sense, so they're beautiful in that way. But the thing that makes them unusual is they've got these gigantic caudal fins, but the top of it is very long. It's, on a shark that's maybe 6 feet long body-wise, you might have another 5, 6 feet of the top of that caudal fin. And they use this to stun fish, schools of fish. Yeah, like that. So they're really interesting in that sense. And they also breach the water, which is a thing that makos and great whites also do. Makos do it the most famously because they can go like 25 feet up in the air. But thresher sharks do this. But the thing is, when you see a thresher shark in person, and I've usually just seen it like watching shark tournaments or like stuff like that, they're a little underwhelming. I guess because you're usually kind of seeing them out of the water or sort of in shallow water, and that long tail kind of looks like more of a problem for them than anything else. So I'm going to give them, a 3.75 is what I give the thresher shark. Sand tiger shark, also called gray nurse shark or ragged tooth shark, they're pretty fierce looking. That's sort of one of the interesting things about them. They're definitely one of those sharks that give sharks a bad name because they have these enormous, ragged looking, like the huge teeth that are kind of crooked and like pointy, stick out of their mouths. They can get fairly big. And they've got these kind of like yellow and black eyes that are kind of little, that give it kind of this weird like zombie-like look. But they're harmless sharks. I don't think there's ever been one on record that's ever attacked anybody. Despite the fact that they're big and they look scary, they're bottom feeders. They mostly eat shellfish and echinoderms of various sorts and things. So they're not dangerous. But they're also the shark that you see in every aquarium. If you think of going to an aquarium and seeing a shark, that's almost always a sand tiger shark. So that's kind of why they're like, you can't really call them underrated, but I think a bread and butter shark is a good sort of way to describe them. Really good shark, 4 stars. I don't think I was a shark in a past life, but I'm not really sure. Maybe that's why I'm trying to understand the experience of their consciousness though. Maybe there's some sort of, something there. Who can say, really? This is Jedidiah Smith, and this has been 3-Star Shark.